Your mindset when you're on a leveling up journey is everything. It can make or break you. And I've really learned over the past few years, especially, the things that will hinder me and the things that will help me to move forward. So I'm going to also share a little bit of my background with you and the way that I used to think compared to the way that I think now, so that hopefully you can maybe identify some areas that you may need to work on as well. Thinking back to the way that I perceived money and people who were affluent in my childhood and teenage years growing up, it was very different from the way that I think about it now, of course. When I was growing up, those people were generally seen as the villains in the story. They were not doing good things in the world. However, this all changed for me when I spent some time in Atlanta. I was constantly surrounded by very, very wealthy people who were doing amazing things with their money. They were using their money as a resource to do really great things in the world, to help other people. And that was when I started to realize that, there's a lot of good that can be done if you are an affluent and wealthy person. What I realized happened to me when I lived in Atlanta was that wealth was normalized. And so a lot of the time I think about the way that I got here to where I am today, and it all started with trying to normalize luxury, trying to normalize affluence and wealth. How can you think about that in a way that it is normal and it's not something that sits way high up there on a shelf that you need to go and climb and spend a lot of time working to get to. Now, it is going to take a lot of time and work, don't get me wrong, but this is more about the mindset. It all starts with your mindset. So how can you remove that feeling or that weight that it takes a lot of work and that it's unattainable ultimately for you? Now, I've read a lot of books about this. I will, of course, have them linked down below on my kit.co page. There are a lot of books I've linked that have helped me in my journey with my mindset to get to where I feel like having money is normal and it is a good, positive thing. So, and that might sound ridiculous, right? Of course, having money is a positive thing. But for a lot of us, I find that deep down, because of the way you may be raised or the people that you may be surrounded by who are probably in, they might be comfortable living a very modest life. You might have adopted some very deeply rooted beliefs that having money is not the right thing to do, and that it may make you a bad person, or it may turn you into someone that you don't want to end up being just because of the way that other people view affluence. I started to quickly realize as I worked on my mindset that if I wanted to make more progress and ingrain those beliefs that money is good, being affluent is the ability to do a lot of good things in the world, I had to stop letting those negative comments get to me. And sometimes I had to totally set myself apart or cut off some people for a period of time that made a lot of those negative comments to me. Don't underestimate your ability and your willpower to shut those negative comments out. That was something that I did for a long time. You think that your mind is really strong. However, you kind of start out like a little baby where you have to constantly, repetitively learn these things and start to think better thoughts in order to get you to a place where your belief is a strong belief and it drives your actions forward. For the longest time, I really wrestled with that just because I was working with people in impoverished situations and circumstances. But what I figured out was that could be used as a purpose, as fuel for myself, in order to realize that if I was able to achieve affluence and wealth, there was so much more that I could do just besides giving of my time and my love to people, but being able to provide resources and through money for them was going to also be able to make a really big difference in the world. So I say all of that to say that if you feel like you're caught in between those two worlds, it is something that you have to make peace with and you have to use as a purpose for yourself. There is so much good that as a wealthy person you can do. It's not all about being selfish or being someone who takes as much as possible from others. That's not the case at all. In fact, many of the wealthy and affluent people in the world, they provide so many jobs for others. They are able to give just unlimited amounts almost to charities and build things for the future. So I say all of that just to give you some positive examples that I've taken on and have really helped my mindset transform from the way it used to be, thinking very negatively about wealthy and affluent people and money in general, to now where I think that it's a very positive thing. It's a tool that I can use to do good in the world. Now let's move on and talk a little bit about the practical things that I'm doing now in order to make my level up mindset rock solid and unshakable. Now, the first thing may not seem like it's related, but it is exercise. And exercise, believe it or not, is something that helps me to start out my day feeling really good. The days that I don't exercise, I don't feel good. And when you don't feel good about yourself, you're less likely to actually start taking action and doing the things that you need to be doing every day in order to keep your goals moving forward and your progress moving forward towards those goals. Exercise releases serotonin, and so it's a biological way, a very natural way to boost your mood. I also use my time exercising to listen to a podcast or catch up on an audiobook that I'm reading, which is feeding my brain with the knowledge that I need in order to keep building and keep making progress again. So that is one of the main things that I do every single day, some form of exercise, and I'm taking in my information while I'm doing it. The second thing that I do every single day, and it's usually coming after I exercise, is journaling. Now, journaling is the number one thing I think besides exercise that I recommend doing to get started with working on changing your beliefs and changing the way that you think. I have been journaling for years and it is my number one tool. I've changed a few of the things that I do when I journal since focusing more on leveling up, and I'm going to explain a little bit about those now. I used to really just write out a lot of the things that I was worried about. I would talk about the concerns that I had and what was going wrong. But now I start out my journaling routine with what I'm grateful for. So I try to write down 3 very specific things. It's usually not just general things like my house or my family. I try to write down 3 very specific things at least every single day and feel really grateful as you're writing that. So I really try to get that feeling of gratefulness into my heart for the day as much as I can. From there, I start writing very positively about the things that I want to see happen in my life. They could be my current goals, and it's usually mixed a little bit with some goals that I know are gonna happen maybe a couple of years down the road. But I really like to write about those and feel excited as I'm writing about them. I almost like to write out a day in the life. So some of you may know of this as called scripting, but I really like to write out the day in the life of myself as the leveled up Leisha. So I like to start the day. I like to talk about what I'm doing later that day. And it's just as if I was going to be journaling that day as myself in the future. I really enjoy that. When I complete this journaling routine, I always feel like I'm in such a good mood and I'm ready to just go and take on the day. I really mean that. I'm not just saying it. And the best thing that you can do after you journal is the next thing that I try to do every single day, which is visualization. Now, I think it's even better if you do a visualization as you complete your journal entry and then later again at night right before you fall asleep. The way that I approach visualization is as if I am walking through every single action in my mind. So not like I'm watching a movie of myself, if that makes sense. I am as if I'm looking out from my eyes right now as I'm talking to you. That's the visualization. That's the perspective that I think really helps for me to feel what it would feel like to be living the life that I'm working towards. I think this is very powerful because I've read countless books and studies on visualization, and they usually will profile someone who is maybe a celebrity, maybe one of the uber successful people of the world, and look at their own visualization routines. And many of the successful people in the world use visualization as a tool to help your mind and your body sort of like connect the dots to get from your point A to point B. I can't tell you how many times I've opened up a journal months and months later and realized that I actually completed that. I actually saw that come to fruition in my life, and it blows my mind every time. So again, that's another reason why I love documenting this journey, and I like to not only document it here on camera, but also document it in my journals. I think that it is a powerful tool to be able to look back on and see your progress and just further normalize what you are trying to achieve. That keeps your mind going and solidifies your level up mindset. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, but let me know down in a comment below if you have any tips or things that maybe I haven't thought about for working on my level up mindset. Share with others. I always love to hear what you have to say. If you haven't seen one of these videos, I will link them here for you to watch. Until then, I will see you next time. Bye.